Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another My Bourbon Journey live stream. Thanks, everybody, for joining tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Figured coming off a nice Brewers victory today, one of only a handful of teams that are officially 4-0. I know, as they say in the baseball world, you don't win the series or you don't win your pennant in April, but it never hurts to be winning, that's for sure. And I figured, well, I've always been a huge baseball fan, and figured putting a little bit of baseball and bourbon together, what could be better. So excited for tonight, and I figured maybe there'll be a few people that want to hop in tonight. I'll drop the StreamYard link in the chat here in a little bit, in the event that anybody wants to kind of join me and participate in tonight's live show. So I wanted to kind of put a few things together, a little bit of some kind of baseball and bourbon related things that kind of tie those things together, and obviously do a few kind of predictions and all of that. So, you know, it's always fun for me anyway, to talk a little bourbon and some baseball. And anytime I have the opportunity to do it, I really enjoy it. So appreciate everybody joining tonight. And again, if you want to be part of tonight's show, check the description box. It'll give you an idea of maybe a few things that you can kind of prep yourself on a little bit. But what I wanted to do was kind of tie the baseball and the bourbon together. So one of the categories we'll talk tonight, outside of some of the actual predictions and all of that of real baseball, is for anybody to give me your starter bourbon. Which again, that can be in the baseball world, if you kind of use the analogy of, you know, your ace or whatever. So depending on whether you want to start big or kind of a corners hitter, whatever you want to call it, from that standpoint, then your middle relief bourbon, and then obviously your bourbon closer will be kind of the one to wrap it up. So again, if anybody wants to jump on and be a part of tonight was just kind of a little baseball chat, and we'll kind of have the first maybe 15 minutes dedicated to a little bit of trash talk, as you can see scrolling there at the bottom. So anybody who wants to talk a little trash, we'll leave that open for basically the next 12 minutes. So we'll let everybody get that stuff off their chest. So I saw a few people in. Let me say hi to a couple people that were in early on. So right away, Mr. Top Dog, good to see you, Johnny. Mr. Sugar Kitty, good to see you as always. Mr. Reese, good to see you as always. Yeah, it is. It's only Tuesday. So, yeah. So Bill, as you and I both are fully aware of, oftentimes these hot starts can kind of, I don't want to say plague an organization, but they don't always end up being that way through September leading into October. So there's plenty of time to either do well or kind of falter. So, you know, 162 games, it is an absolute marathon of a season. So that's one thing I always kind of have appreciated about baseball, was the fact that it was as long as it was, and it really kind of just tests everyone throughout the entire year. I mean, when you're basically playing, you know, 6 months of actual baseball, a lot of things can happen. And really, as many games as 162 is, oftentimes it comes down to a game or two right at the very end every single year, with whatever the division may be. So that's, again, for me, one of the kind of fun parts about baseball, is really all the back and forth and everything from that standpoint. But yeah, so Bill, like you had mentioned, yeah, 5-0, Brewers 4-0 today, but off to pretty good start. So the NL Central is kind of holding things down right now as far as some undefeated teams. So looking forward to a good season. And the park out in Pittsburgh, probably one of the nicest ballparks that are out there, especially if you're visiting it in person. Hands down, one of the best that's out there. So all right, let's see. Mr. Peter B, good to see you, buddy. Mr. Kurgan. Mr. Keegan Burdorf, good to see you, buddy. Always good to see you. Mr. Mays, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in, fellow Wisconsinite there. So, yep, big home opener for the Brewers today. They already proceeded to sweep the Mets, of which I let one of my compadres, Mr. Jason Clory, know all about. So he's actually already making the excuses of how kind of piss poor they're going to be this year, which if you're a New York Met and you're that organization, you've got all of that money and be bad. In my opinion, it's not like a great look. I mean, they could do the same exact things for the most part as the LA Dodgers, people like the Red Sox, any big organizations. Obviously, I said Dodgers, Yankees, of course. If you're not doing what they're doing with that kind of money, then that's a failure on their organization's part. Now, whether you mismanage the money and pay the people pay certain people big bucks, then that's kind of on you. So, Mr. Meyer, good to see you, buddy. Truman, good to see you. Hopefully, weather is good in the old Pacific Northwest. Good to see you. Bobby, how's it going, brother? Good to see you as always. If you have not subscribed to Bad Axe Bourbon, do yourself a favor and check out Bobby. He's doing some pretty awesome things. Yeah, not recently. It hasn't worked out for the Pirates for the most part, but go Mariners. Yeah. So, man, I love watching West Coast baseball. Except it's just, man, it's on so late for all of us, and even later for the West Coasters. So, Johnny boy, good to see you, buddy. My Tigers going 162-0. So yeah, a few of us local kind of guys. I know Tom is over in Michigan. So yes, the Tigers are holding it down over there as well. So what do we got here? I miss baseball, but I can't watch MLB anymore. I think about college have been fantastic the last few years. No ghost runners on. Yeah, so I know we can get into some of the particulars about how some things have changed, but it's good or bad. I know there can be a lot of change in things. So Johnny boy, good to see you, buddy. So we got I got to imagine a Red Sox fan, which going back a long time ago when I was young, I was a huge Yankees fan growing up, not too far from there. So my dad and I would go to quite a few games throughout the year. Now this was mostly the 80s, and really for the most part, the Yankees were not very good in the 80s. But growing up, I was a huge Don Mattingly fan, so that's kind of how that goes. So yes, Cleveland Guardians. Anyone plays the Yankees, I fully understand that. So, let's see. I heard to focus. Okay, so I heard to focus on MLB until NBA playoffs, especially this year as a Celtics fan. All right, yeah. So I mean, they're going to clearly get the 1 seed. Looks like the Milwaukee Bucks will end up with the 2 seed. So, Mr. Marty Whiskey Nose, good to see everyone's. Yeah, that's one thing about baseball is, just like really any sport, you've got your teams, and that's the way it goes. And anybody who wants to trash talk, that's one of the fun parts, as long as it stays, pretty clean for the most part. So, what else we got here? JG, good to see you, buddy. Well, I'm kidding kind of on that one, but I'm just kidding. What else we got here? Mr. Peter White, good to see you. Yep, Jays are going to be a losing wild card as usual. So they've got they got a pretty decent roster. I don't know, maybe the pitching will maybe be their downfall, but not totally familiar with the Jays roster this year. But oh boy, good question. So I think Bobby B gets paid, I thought, through 2034 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. 2035. Oh yeah, Roy's he's already covered it. So, man, can you imagine another, including this year, 11 years of $1 million a year, which essentially is what Shohei has gotten from the Dodgers. And I mean, that's what he's done. He's just backloaded that whole entire contract. He gets so much money through endorsements. It doesn't really matter for that guy's either. But oh boy, Whiskey Nature, how you doing? What else we got here? Yeah, well, I mean, they do have kind of a one of the front runners, somebody who could challenge for um, an MVP. So, but you know, uh, let's see. Oh, you're not a Red Sox fan. Okay. In 2024. 2024. Okay. So it's kind of like a lot of the kind of Patriots fans. They're no longer Patriots fans now that Tom Brady's not there and they suck. This is coming from a Dolphins fan. So I can see everyone's kind of hopped off the bandwagon of the Patriots, but tonight's about baseball. So Paulie P, good to see you. I already said the Bourbon Jerk. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, do yourself a favor and subscribe. What else we got here? Mr. Perkins, good to see you, buddy. I'm a little bit behind. I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. Stacy, Four Leaf Whiskey, another great whiskey channel. If you have not subscribed to Stacy and Four Leaf Whiskey, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. And always hit the subscribe and bell notifications. Then you guys are getting alerted for all the videos that are dropping from everybody. So Otani needs a Dodgers since gambling. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty interesting thing, and they've kind of brushed it under the rug a little bit. It was kind of hot for a couple days, and I haven't heard that much about it in a little while. So we'll see how that goes. So, and again, once the in a couple of minutes, I'll open this thing up, and if there's anybody again who wants to jump on and talk a little about bourbon and baseball, we got again a little bit of a theme, so make sure you check out the description. You can get a little bit of info down there as well. So, what else we got here? Yep, saw that Larry Lucchino passed away. Not even that old, I don't believe. I thought like maybe mid-70s. So everybody always wants the as soon as we get them. So there's been a little bit, let's just cover a little bit of Mash and Journey stuff here for 1 minute. There's been a little bit of a delay in some of the bottles being shipped and getting to distribution. So that's kind of put us a little bit on the back burner, but we will have some tasting notes once we get that stuff. So, all right, so let's do this. So right away, what I wanted to kind of start out with was, and John, I'll pop the, and here, let me do this. For anybody who does want to jump on here, I've got a, let's see. There I go. There's my boy G. All right, I already busted you know what. Yes, there actually was baseball in the 1880s. So I can 100% confirm that. So let's see. Let me drop the link, and for anybody who wants to get on, and we'll talk again. We'll go through again your starter baseball or your baseball starter. Then we'll go through the mid relief, which are going to be your kind of middle innings kind of bourbon, and then we'll go with your closer bourbon. So if you want to have those ready, then you're good to go. Let me copy this. I'll throw this in the chat, and anybody who wants to jump on, we will get the baseball and bourbon talk going a little bit. So always fun to talk these two things in my opinion, and all of that. So let me clear this out. Get rid of the banner. There we go. Back to comments. So anyway, so let's do this. So as you can see, my philosophy, I think, for any of the kind of your baseball starter, your baseball ace, whatever you want to call it. So I would subscribe to the category of the big power arm right out of the gate. I want to know if there's
subscribe to the category.
How you doing, bud?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. So I was just kind of getting into the category a little bit here of for me, my right out of the gate, if I'm going with a starter bourbon. Now, again, this can go a lot of different ways. You could go Greg Maddux style, or you could go big power Randy Johnson type of arm. So that's a different kind of philosophy. I subscribe to the category of Powerball. So that's why I went with my my 4-gate Kelvin 60 right out of the gate. I'm going to hit you with a big boy and hope to get through at least maybe 5, maybe 6 innings of Powerball. So what about you, Johnny?
I was thinking of a starter bourbon, not something that's going to go 5 or 6 innings. So that's not going to be Wild Turkey 101. I'm a Russell's Reserve Store pick kind of.
Okay. All right. We can equate that to kind of Greg Maddux, keep the ball down, hit the corners a little bit, start off kind of nice and soft, but could go 9 innings, right? Could go 9 with that.
Hey, those bottles are art, and so is Greg Maddux. So there you go.
Yeah. So you can't go wrong. That's the difference in philosophies there. And again, like a lot of how baseball and stuff works, and whether you're a fantasy baseball player, whatever it may be, you kind of have to set your rosters up the way that you're kind of comfortable, with that. So modern baseball kind of seems to be, for the most part, if you can get 5 innings out of your starter, and then you maybe mix in 2 or 3 of God only knows how many middle relief guys, and then hope to have a closer. That seems to be the strategy of how they kind of implement baseball these days. But
Scott,
it'd be tricky.
You mentioned 5 innings. The definition of a quality start, I think, is 6 innings with like less than 2 runs or something. And that just goes to show you how many pitchers are pitching 5 innings, because that became a statistic.
It's a lot. And I've always thought, because so many people, and you're aware of this, so many people nowadays focus on speed. Everyone, like the guy who can hit triple digits, that's great, I think, short term. But these guys that are constantly in the mid to upper 90s, man, in my opinion, that's just not a style of baseball that is designed to go very many innings. It's a lot of stress on your shoulder and your elbow.
If you go back to the saying, chicks dig the long ball, I think the pitchers wanted some action. So the game changed, I guess.
Yep. I think once they started throwing up the radar gun and you saw people start to hit, triple digits, even though Nolan Ryan and some guys did it, back in the 50s and 60s and probably beyond that. Sure. But it never was really much of a big focus thing. 80s, you kind of started getting into a little bit of the 90s. Now it's like everyone is mid to upper 90s.
Everything you just said hits home, because like they advertise the radar gun. It's what puts butts in the seats, or what sells tickets. It's kind of like packaging on bourbon, just to bring it back to your reference topic of tonight.
Yep. That's exactly the way it is, and it's really, and that's kind of a good analogy. I mean, I remember J.R. Richard, and everyone, as big in power as he was, he was the guy that a lot of people feared, but then again, Nolan Ryan still was kind of a little bit of an anomaly there with him. That dude was ridiculous.
Huge individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, one of my favorite things about baseball pitchers are the ones who throw gas early in their career, and they used to get hurt, and then they had to turn into a Maddux type pitcher. The ones who become those crafty guys. I remember Curt Schilling used to throw 96 miles an hour, and when he was in Boston, he could barely throw 92, but he had that splitter.
Yep.
And won a lot of games with a pitch. Whether it was Mariano Rivera with his cutter, just one good pitch, get the ball on the ground and let the defense do its job. Yeah. It's always awesome to watch. There's a pitcher, I think he's on the Braves now. He used to be a Sox, Charlie Morton. I think he's 40 this year.
Yeah.
And, aged 34 through 40, he's won more games during this point in his career than before. And some of that is velocity picked up, but a lot of it had to do with he learned how to pitch.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a lot of baseball. Like I know throwing hard and hitting the ball a long way is great. But again, like when you look at baseball and really what gets a lot of guys out, it's most of the time location of a pitcher. When you're hitting corners and the ball is down and it's got a lot of movement, that gets guys out more often than power does. You can kind of tee up, these guys that are in the mid to upper 90s. If you're sitting on it, you've got it. You can kind of sit on that a little bit. Not to say you're not going to get blown away, because you will, but man, far off that, more often than not, it seems like these guys that are hitting corners and keeping the ball down are the ones that do really well. And Morton was a great example of that, because like, as you said, as he got older, he really became a better pitcher. Because I remember him, I think, with the Pirates and then the Braves, I believe.
Yeah.
And
he was also in the Rays, I think, for a bit too.
Yeah. So, but Maddox is the perfect example of that.
I mean, Maddox and Pedro, those guys took people's brains and, took them out of their head and threw it at them. I mean, it was, I'm astonished, when there's a runner on base, in someone's head, I don't want to hit a ground ball to this side of the infield. I don't want to hit into a double play. And people like Maddox and those really thoughtful psychological beings, they're throwing the ball in the only place where you can hit the ball, into where you don't want to. So it just messes with you, and that gives them an advantage. And they're very cerebral and awesome to watch. And being a baseball nerd growing up, you can take a round object and throw it 7 directions. Where I was lucky enough to see Pedro Martinez pitch live at least 12 times.
Yeah. Another guy, with not only a bit of power, but again, just a great pitcher, we say the word pitcher, but I mean, these guys were the epitome of that. They knew location and when to throw hard, when to change it up a little bit. And that's really the thing. I mean, there's guys, they're going to come in and just throw gas. They're going to hope you don't hit the ball and just try to blow it by you. But oftentimes those guys, Roger Clemens and, Randy Johnson, all these guys, I mean, these were power guys, but they still knew how to pitch, if that makes any sense.
So early in Clemens' career, right, it always used to be high and low. It used to be high fastball and low sinkers. Towards the, some parts of his career, it was always the edges of the plates. So he definitely evolved, especially when he was with the Astros at the end. And I definitely appreciate that. You just play to your strength and pound the zone and get people's eyes moving. And my favorite part about Greg Maddox is, he looked like the kid who got stuffed in a locker every single day of his life, and he just came out there and embarrassed people.
It's what he did. I mean, you could count on the guy every 5 days, and it's just one of the greatest forever. And I don't even know, like, going back, like, early on, if he really ever threw hard. Like, I don't think he really ever.
I don't think so either. I think it was 91 was tops for him.
So it was, he was just always a guy that he knew he was going to have to really kind of play to contact. I mean, I think he got better at it throughout the years with more strikeouts then, just because of that devastating, I believe it was a changeup that he threw, I think.
It was, I mean, he had so many off-speed pitches.
Whatever it was.
Watching him, he would expand the strike zone as well. With the umps, it was amazing. I mean, I can't tell you a pitcher that I am thrilled to watch, from that cerebral perspective today. Maybe Max Scherzer, but he still throws gas.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a guy that's kind of a corners guy. I know there was like that Jamie Moyer, he kind of had a little bit of that, not on the Greg Maddox level, but again, he pitched until he was like in his 40s, I believe. And again, kind of that same style, but I'm trying to think of anybody now off the top of my head.
You're talking Mike Mussina, Andy Pettit were guys, Derek Lowe, John Lester.
Yeah. I mean, Lester could throw the ball hard. Pettit could a little bit, but he threw that cutter that was kind of devastating, like Rivera. That was, again, his kind of pitch. Mike Mussina was another one that was another kind of Greg Maddox guy. He did throw a little bit hard, but man, as he got older, he was another guy that really started throwing the cutters.
I think Lester and maybe Lester more than Andy Pettitte. Lester's one of those lengthy left-handers that throws his entire body at you, like Johnson did. Maybe not to that capacity. Imagine that flailing person just hurling a ball at you, So,
yeah, that was
Tommy Glavine. He's from Massachusetts, John.
And another one, man, that was a devastating let's see. So you would have had Maddox, Glavine back on that roster. I mean, that was pure nastiness, is what that was.
John Smoltz, Kent Merker. There was a lot of guys on that team.
Yeah. Nowadays, like it's kind of hard. Yeah, maybe I guess Kyle Hendricks would probably be in that category. Is he still with the Cubs? I think he is.
I don't know.
I think he's still with the Cubs. But anyway, all right, let's do this. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here for actual baseball, AL and NL MVP awards. Like who do you maybe have as your front? I mean, I tried to go, and again, if you go with the norm of what it probably should be, I completely understand. But I went slightly different on AL and NL MVP this year, just to maybe kind of change it up a little bit. But if you're picking AL and NL MVP, who are you going with?
Oh, I'm gonna defer to you, but to start for the American League, I think this is going to be a resurgent year from Mike Trout.
Oh, that's a big one. I mean, honestly, he's been one of the greatest baseball players in history for a long, long time, and maybe a little bit of ages and some injuries are kind of catching up to him. But the one thing I'll say about Mike Trout is, New Jersey boy, by the way.
I won't hold that against him.
I wish I'm always angry about the guys on the West Coast because you don't have as much of an opportunity to watch them. And that's one of the guys I wish in baseball I could have had an opportunity to watch more than just highlights. So I love that pick. I mean, I think he's a great dude. He seems down to earth and all of that, and not like, flamboyant with anything really at all. So I kind of like that pick.
But he has that dirt dog mentality. Do you know what I mean? He's just a guy who gets the ball. And, we all know this from like fantasy sports, like these guys in their early 30s, they do have these career years every so often. And, it's just one of those screwball type picks. I'd love to pick Juan Soto like you're about to do, but
Nope. I'm not actually going to go. I'm not going to go Soto on this one. I'm actually going to go Corey Seager. And
wow, you have a bold pick.
Yeah. So I like the guy's game. He's one of those sneaky and underrated of an MVP candidate as you can get. And I think the guy is starting to like literally come into or be in his prime now. So if he's going to win one, in my opinion, it's probably going to be now. So I just kind of got to thinking of again, you could go Soto, you could go, Aaron Judge. I mean, those guys are going to probably be in this thing, but Seager's been in that running before and it's come right down to the wire. And I think it's maybe that guy's time to win one. So I'd go AL MVP 2024 Corey Seager. So
okay. Now, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Do you go against Ronald Acuna? Yes or no? I mean, that's really should be the question for the NL.
So I again, it's hard to go away from him. I mean, that guy is pretty much 5-tool everywhere you go. It's hard to argue that guy not winning the MVP or being the front runner. And I wouldn't fault anybody. And you're probably honestly crazy for not going with him.
I would if I were going to place a bet, okay, and I don't, I would do something in the American League. In the National League, if you take away 20% of his stats from last year, he's still the clear MVP.
Yeah, based on those, I think based on those numbers and really what he did and probably what he meant and what he means to the Braves, um, man, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against that. Now, I didn't go with him because I'm crazy.
Who'd you
But
go with, Scott? Please go first.
I went NL MVP 2024 Mookie Betts.
Okay.
I think again he's another one of those guys that's a little bit, I don't want to say sneaky good because the dude is like legit. And again, I think he's not quite on Acuna's level, but pretty darn close. So my NL MVP 24 would be Mookie Betts. That's what I'd go with.
Well,
So,
I think that for Acuna to win the MVP, I'll go back on a prior statement. I think he has to put up the numbers he did because both of those rosters, the Dodgers and the Braves, are like video game teams.
Yep.
So it's like if you can't, be a 40-40 guy and hit 330, then you don't belong in there. And for me, if I have to, pick somebody not named Acuna, it would be Corbin Carroll because I don't think he has the supporting cast. And if he puts up the same numbers as Betts, he's going to win.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I think I would agree with that. I think you've got to basically hit close to plus or minus 40 home runs. I think you need to hit close to 330. You probably have to have 105 to 120-ish RBIs. I mean, those are the numbers everyone's going to look at, So, you could have a guy like Freddie Freeman. I mean, you could have obviously Acuna, all these Ohtani. I mean, there's nothing to say. Like we've discredited him, but again, in my opinion of Ohtani being both a hitter and a pitcher, not as much a pitcher anymore, but he was maybe the modern day Babe Ruth. He was maybe trending towards being, if not the greatest baseball player, definitely one of the best baseball players ever, because doing what he did both on the mound and at the plate, there's nobody else that's done that, I'll say, at least in the modern area, outside of Babe Ruth. I mean, I don't know,
I love that comment. I just think about how long Babe Ruth played baseball and, at least here in the States. So, just to, go on the devil's advocate side of things, it's going to be an interesting year with the pitching clock and everything else changing. Baseball needs to find a new rhythm as far as the players go. So,
yeah, I agree. It is. There's a lot of other factors, the pitching clock, and just all of these things that are gonna be adjustments all around. So it is. I've never thought of baseball or going to baseball games as I need this to hurry up and get over. Like I've never been that guy. Like I never minded however long it took for the game to be. It was what it was. I love the kind of the purity of what that was. And now they need these games to be done in, less than 2.5 hours, So, but that's me. I know people are busy and they just want to go to a game and do all that other good jazz, but it is what it is. So.
Scott, you being a Brewers guy, did I ever tell you, well, I've been to Miller Park for a couple of games, and I don't know if I told you the story, coming from Massachusetts where, it's unlawful, to put cream cheese on a bagel, to Milwaukee where they tailgate. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a world. So we were behind the left field foul pole and, up in the bleachers up there. And there was like a spousal disagreement, whatever. And this woman hawked her beer. And it hit a whole bunch of people in front of us. And then like a melee broke out. There's people ripping each other to shreds. And the crazy, no police, no nothing. Everyone policed themselves and everyone got all pissy and pushy and shovey. And then everyone went back to watching baseball. And it was like a phenomenon I've never seen. Like when the Yankees come to Boston, we throw popcorn and beer all over them and the cops kick them out. F them. They don't belong here. End of story.
Yeah.
And they'll arrest 15 people. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well,
here's what I'll say, depending on who it is they're playing. And my guess would be if you went to a Brewers Cubs game, you'd probably find more of a lot of that nastiness. Like there's a lot of just disdain for the Cubs, and I'm sure I'll offend some Cubs fan, but
I hope so.
they're maybe the most front runner organization and fans that I've ever come across. And like every time you see them, especially when they're doing well, everyone's got new fancy Cubs stuff on. They're lifelong Cubs fans, since 2020, or whatever. They've it's just like, I don't know what it is, but there's this arrogance about them that's just, I don't know
Wait a
what.
minute, wait a minute. So you were just in Chicago, correct? And you
Yes,
lived near.
I was.
So I spent a week at Wrigley Field for a homestand years ago, and I had a lot of fun. And the one memory I do have is the Wrigleyville area is all college kids, and that makes sense with what you just said.
It's just, I mean, a lot of it is kind of just the north side in general. But again, it's
Guppies.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what it is, and oftentimes it looks like when you go to a Cubs game, there's more people that are more interested in just being there than anything. Like they don't care about. It seems like, yeah, like there's no
college kids.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just this fair weather. Again, I've been a Cubs fan for my entire life, which is maybe 2 or 3 years, until they got good. Then when they suck, no one shows up. That's kind of Cubs style for the most part. But
and to anyone watching, for anyone who thinks Scott hates the Cubs, he talked about Greg Maddux for like 2 hours already. So relax.
Yeah, I mean, I do probably hate the Cubs stuff like now, and I always want to beat them, but it is what it is, and it's just there's something that just always kind of just rubs not me but a lot of people the wrong way, and I see Stymie's got here. They talk about it being like Wrigley North, which really, honestly, it isn't always like they'll come up here and then we've been kind of beaten up on them. So you can call it what you want. I mean, it kind of beat up on the Cubs a little bit. So
I love that you have 3 teams within X distance. I think that's awesome for being a baseball fan. And, just to comment on what I wrote in chat about not being a Red Sox fan in 2024, I won't spend a dime in that park this year. Their pitching staff they put out this year is a joke. And for what they charge for, it's $70 to park, maybe $80 now. And everything else, I'm sorry. Like, you can't give me AAA pitchers to start the season and think that's okay in this city. It doesn't work.
It's really that expensive just to park for a game, hey?
Easy $70-$80.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean,
real estate in Boston's been nuts, and they've torn buildings down. And like you could, it's crazy.
I think as soon as you started talking about sucking,
oh my God.
Jason shows up here and his Mets, and I kind of said a little same thing before. I think, again, if you're a Red Sox, Yankee, Mets, Dodgers, all these other teams, if you have big payrolls, big money, and you can spend whatever you want, and you suck, that's mismanagement. I think you've got the wrong people that are running these organizations. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're going to win anything. You got to still have baseball people. And
Scott, you got to respect your fans. And the Sox aren't doing that. I don't know what the Mets got going on. They have a better roster than the Red Sox. I don't know what they're doing, but they're off to a bad start. And the only thing I can say, if you are a Mets fan, is find some reel on Instagram. There's something about all the food at Citi Field this year. It looks ridiculous. So I would go to Citi Field for the food.
I mean, it's a cool park. I have had the fortune of going to both Citi Field and Shea Stadium. I mean, man, there's no wonder they kind of tore Shea down. I mean, it was kind of a dump. I mean,
I did like the simplicity of it with the apple popping up. I mean, I'd been to Shea maybe 10 times.
I think they took the apple from Shea and put it at Citi Field. I think it's the original one, I believe.
I know, but it's like lost because of the carnival in the background.
Yeah. Plus, you don't even get to see it at all, especially like right now. Nobody even hits any home runs. So I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that.
Hey,
That big ass apple out there.
let's talk about your beloved Brewers. Look at the old park versus the Carnival ride with the Brewer going down the slide.
I mean, if you talk about Old County Stadium versus the park now, I mean, yeah, it was like that thing was being held together with like, beer cans and beer tab toppers and all that stuff. I mean, it was in bad shape. But yeah, at least going to the old Miller Park or now AmFam Field, whatever you want to call it. You can go to a game. You can, like today we've had nasty weather, rain, snow. If this was County Stadium or outdoors, you weren't going to play today. So
what's the name of the stadium now?
It's called American Family Field is what it is now. They're the new sponsor.
So does American Family make beer?
No, they don't make beer, but
what the hell?
No, they don't make beer, but there's enough beer in this city for that to still be kind of okay. But it's a fun park to go to. A lot of entertainment and everything there. So all right, let's do this. Middle reliever guys. Mid relief, you've got, again, here's where you can change it up. You can have power, finesse, whatever you want to go. When you're let's say you've gotten through 5 innings with your starter, you've kind of put a little dent in your Russell's 10. Now you get into the middle relief and you need things to kind of just be taken care of. What's your middle relief bourbon going to be?
Sorry, I'm breaking my house.
All right, it's your house. Oh wow! Look at you. So now you're starting. I see how the trend is going a little bit here. You're starting to kind of hope to get through the first 5 with
Russell.
Kind of middle of the road guys. You hope you don't get lit up too bad. Now you get to the middle relief. Now you're going to spend a little more money on your.
Hey, you're talking like I gave you craft whiskey. I said a Russell's pick.
I didn't say you're giving me. I didn't say you're giving me. I didn't say you were giving me craft whiskey. I was just saying that Russell's 10, 90 proof. I mean, you're not starting out the game with like Randy Johnson or something.
No, I'm not. And like I look at it more like a second or third starter, not an ace. But as far as this goes,
okay.
This is this is a reliable person who can get you, reliable pitcher who can get you through 1 to 2 innings in the middle of the game.
If you're going to try to sell me on 114 proofer, if I'm going to use the analogy of baseball, OGD 114, in my opinion, isn't going 2 innings. That's maybe a 1 or 2 batter kind of guy. And then
all right.
You need to mix it because that 114 is coming in with some heat. He's coming in to take care of business for a couple batters. Now the modern day guy, now you have to face 3 batters? I think you have to face 3 before you can pull a guy or something. But all right, you're going. In my opinion, you're now stepping up to the power game a little bit.
I mean, if my starter gets kicked out in the first inning, and I need someone to eat innings, and I'm going to lose.
Your philosophy, how I would look at your lineup so far would be your Russell's 10 guy is good, but let's be honest, there's a chance he gets lit up in the first or second inning. Now you need this. Now you're getting into the middle relief guy. So I can see if you're going to go with Russell's as the middle. That's the
Russell's reserve store pick. Come on, man, you're hating on me.
I'm trying to figure out, like, you're going to need more than 3 bourbons, in my opinion. If you're going to stretch this out, because
closer by committee.
I don't know, man. I think your Russell's guy is only going to give you maybe 3 innings, and you need more middle relief guys before you get to your closer. Hoping to even get to a closer in that analogy, but yeah, give me another middle relief guy. I think we need somebody before your 114, your middle relief guy, because I don't think your Russell's guy is gonna last 5 innings or 6 innings. So
you don't think so?
No, I don't. I think he's good, but I think he's that 3-4 kind of starter from that analogy. But
I think we're gonna go with somebody versatile. I think we're gonna go with a Four Roses barrel strength.
Oh, geez. All right. So this is where I think you're investing in your middle relief guy. You're you're a big bullpen kind of guy. You're going to tax these arms a little bit. You like the power. You got Four Roses barrel strength. You got OGD 114. Those are power plays right there. Those are big power pitchers.
This is not these are not sexy pitchers. This is about winning ball games.
All right, you're going more 80s old school kind of vibe here a little bit. So
yeah, you can bring sexy back though, Scott.
All right. So mine was, now again, coming out of the gate, I'm going like more. I'm thinking Cy Young kind of stuff. That's why I started off with the guy who I think's going to get me, let's just say 5 innings. Yeah. Now I think we've gotten through 5 innings with maybe giving up a run, maybe 2. Now we can start to kind of settle in a little bit. My middle relief guy is going to be Henry McKenna. I'm going to go with my middle relief guy because I think you know what you've got with this guy, and I feel like baseball analogy wise, this is a kind of guy that can give you a minimum of an inning, maybe 2, but I would probably squeeze in McKenna as my middle relief kind of bourbon. So let's see how my middle relief guy tastes here.
Scotty, this is going to be my first sip of whiskey in 9 days. Been on a health journey after having a concussion. So we'll see.
Oh, Jesus. Well, hopefully you're feeling a little bit better. Those concussions can be awfully nasty. That's
honestly, like over the last 24 hours, I'd say I've had some issues, but I almost feel human again. I need to get back to work, and it's been a tough night. These live streams have saved me. So
all right, well, good. I'm glad I could be a part of your build process. Yeah, JG, I think maybe he does. You might have to mix in Bland somewhere along the way. I don't think all these other guys are gonna get him through anything here.
He didn't ask me for a 5th starter.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Bland's. If I was starting out with Bland's as my starter again, I think that's going to be another one of those 3, maybe 4 inning guys, and you're going to need more middle relief kind of guys. So
I got a closer waiting for you, bro.
Okay, I can't wait to hear. All right, while we're doing this, let's move on to AL and NL Cy Young awards and see what we've got coming. So why don't you hit me with your prediction for AL Cy Young 2024?
It's not going to be Garrett Cole.
That it is not.
I'm stalling. Can we start with the NL?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just going to be Spencer Strider.
Oh, all right. Well, that was very anticlimactic.
Honestly, he's going to strike out 300 guys, and he's going to win 18 to 25 games. So I think that's an Acuna thing, and I think if you can strike out 300 ball players in 200 innings in today's baseball, it doesn't happen enough.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen every year. No,
he's pretty dominant, and I'll let the cat out of the bag for my NL Cy Young. It's also Spencer Strider, and for those reasons. I mean, he is as dominant, and he's as dominant as I think a modern day pitcher can be nowadays. I mean, the stuff he's got is just absolutely fantastic. And I saw Roger had put Bieber there as well, and I think Shane Bieber is probably another one that's very, very close, and could definitely challenge. And those were probably I don't know. I guess it's gonna be interesting. What do you have for your AL guy? Who did you do?
I want to comment. Okay, like I'm not Peter Gammons here. I'm just I really do like Bieber. He's on my fantasy team. He threw a gem, and he has a great comeback potential to help the Indians get the Guardians. I still hate that. I reject that on principle. I watched Major League 1 and 2 already this year. I think it's going to be the same guy that you pick. I think it's Corbin Burns.
It is. I actually went Corbin Burns as well. If he can stay healthy, and I think him changing leagues, going from NL to AL with what it is he's got, and if he puts it all together, there's not probably many people better in the AL. Again, we had mentioned Bieber and stuff before, which is again another like absolutely fantastic pitcher. But I don't know. I went Burns in the Orioles. I think what they've got, kind of what they're putting together, their offense, I think can be very, very good. And he can be dominant. So yeah, you and I are on the same page there. So
yeah, it didn't that didn't seem like a hard question this year.
No, I mean, it was like the more I kind of started thinking about that, like Spencer Strider was probably, it felt like the easiest one, and the AL seemed to be much more
open.
kind of much more open. And I just started thinking from a dominant standpoint, man, Burns could just end up being like lights out. But I think again, the AL now has to adjust to Burns. They don't know. They've never really seen him outside of some.
I mean, look, the Orioles have a good defense, and if they can figure out the back end of the bullpen and close out games, they're gonna win a lot. Edwin Diaz will have. Dude, Jay, don't be walking on a bridge or a tall building tonight, bro. What is going on here?
Jesus, can you imagine being 3 and 159? Is that what it was? 59, 60? Yeah. God, 3 and oh my God, everyone should be fired. That would never happen, but that's ridiculous.
Yikes!
I don't even know. I think you're gonna. If I start asking you for a closer, like in my opinion, you've barely even gotten to the 8th inning at this point with the bourbons that you've got. You've given me. You
were just another bourbon guy on YouTube disrespecting OGB 114.
You started out with Russell's. Then we went to 114. Then we went with we went 4 Roses barrel strength, all power guys. These are going to be short inning guys. I don't know where your Russell's guy, how far he's going to get you, but let's just assume that those 3 guys get you to the 9th inning. Okay, what's going to be your closer bourbon? Elijah Craig barrel proof. Okay. All right,
you got to bring the heat.
I can get down with that, and I like that choice very, very much. So, and depending on who your closer is, your Elijah Craig barrel proof can oftentimes be symbolic of who that closer is. Sometimes good, sometimes maybe not so good.
Look, sometimes they're hot, sometimes they're a little cooler, but they're always nasty in a good way.
They can be. So
I think I sold that one pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with that. So, and all right, let's do this. So you can maybe see a little, I guess slight trend here a little bit. Power early, maybe a little bit kind of lighter power, get you through the middle innings kind of guys. Now we're gonna hit you with, big dog. We're going with Mr. Stagg. We're gonna light it up in the 9th. We're gonna come guns ablaze, and we're going 100 mile per hour, and we're gonna hope to close that bad boy out with a little late inning power.
It looks like another overpaid reliever right there.
Oh yeah, so okay, so this is the guy that you think is more at the tail end of his career, just got a big contract, is maybe not going to live up to his billing, or what?
I mean, it's just overpaid. That's just what it is.
Okay.
Good in a contract year.
Okay. All right. I was thinking like for Stagg, like, I don't know, power arm.
Flamethrower, but hittable.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of depends, some of these guys that can throw these pitches, it's going to be power. You're not going to get a lot of movement. You're just going to get straight power. It's kind of like, here's 100 miles per hour. You got to catch up to it. If you can catch up to it, great. And I don't shatter your bat, then maybe you get through, but it can get beat a little bit. The analogy would be buying this at retail for 95% of the time, and then the other 5% is when you throw hard and you lose all command, you walk people, you give up a home run. that's the 5% of Stag right there.
I got to add something to the closer conversation.
Okay.
So whether it's, fantasy baseball or real baseball, a lot of
Mhm.
teams have closers that they find in random places. It's almost like, I talk about myself being a realtor. I didn't choose real estate. Real estate chose me. And I think that's true of the closer role in baseball sometimes. And I think I can relate that to whiskey by people buying single barrels of MGP.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of, I need to be found kind of barrel picking going on when it comes to closers.
It's a fair statement. I would say, I mean, I don't know many people off the top of my head that just started out as a closer. Like, no one says, I just want to throw 15 balls in a game and not do any more. Most of them, like you said, to your point, most of these guys have all been
Journeyman or starters.
Starters, what middle relief guys, and have found themselves, being able to be in that position. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody ever starts out as a closer. It kind of, you said, it finds you.
Craig Kimbrell is one of those guys,
Yep.
but he's predominantly been a closer. There are some, but for the majority of closers, it's like a good single barrel.
This to me is Mariano Rivera in a glass. This is a guy, to your point, started out as a starting pitcher, didn't do very well at all, and became the greatest closer in all of baseball.
If that were true, Stag would be owned by the Red Sox. Boom.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But I'm going to disagree with you on that part, but that's okay. I mean, hey, Kimbrell was another power guy, great power guy, and could throw the ball by just about anybody. And
Billy Wagner was another one.
Billy Wagner was another big power guy, of course.
I don't think he got in the Hall of Fame. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
There's no reason he should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's, as far as I can remember, I mean, when that guy came in, as long as I can remember, I mean, that dude was dominant. I mean, you didn't want to see Wagner in a game. He was just going to throw the ball right by you. Not a big dude at all.
No.
So, but that would be my my Stag is my equivalent to Mariano Rivera. So, all right.
So can we start this over and just do rye this time? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that one. We'll do that next year. We'll equate all of our whiskeys to rye whiskey and somehow see what that ends up being. All right, we got one more category. We got AL NL Rookie of the Year. Are you prepared for that, or do you need me to go first again?
No, I am absolutely prepared for this, and I'm struggling with I have a friend who played in the minors up here, and he's a big fan of the kid that's on Baltimore that got sent down to the minors. But
yeah,
I am fanboy in love with Wyatt Langford. He looks like Mike Trout, and if you haven't seen videos of him in college in the minor leagues, this guy just destroys baseballs. It's disgusting. So
that he does, and mine kind of came down to two people, and to that point, two Orioles. I went Jackson Holiday. I think the guy.
I mean, they say he's a 7-tool player. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kid, has the potential to be, again, based on potential and what he is, he can be one of the greats. I mean, he's got that kind of talent. I mean, look at the lineage the guys come from, dad, uncle, all these players. I mean, so the guy's got baseball literally in his blood. So I went Jackson Holiday. I mean, the kid is just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much more I can say. So this is going to vary a little bit. And here's one thing I will say. When we're talking rookies of the year, one of the things I think still is a travesty in baseball is allowing the Japanese guys to come over here and be whatever, 27 years old and be a rookie. I know by qualifications they are, but in my mind, I think it's bullshit. Like, I don't think it should be that way at all. So.
Honestly, you're describing Buffalo Trace. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing pretty good here tonight.
Yeah, you're kind of on fire. I think you're healing. I think you're healing just well. You're pretty sharp. I wouldn't say you're in the concussion protocol anymore.
No, man, the whiskey's helping too. So
all right, well, whatever it takes. But
we just moved on to this thing.
oh, now you're into that. So that's probably your fourth or fifth. Yeah, you got a lot of guys in play tonight for your starter, middle relief, and finally your closer. So your other three guys, you could probably lump the Knob Creek in with the middle relief guys, and then wrap her up with the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. That'd be a pretty solid lineup.
I'm a savvy manager. I don't know what to tell you.
Right,
NL, I've drafted this guy too. Is Jack? I think it's Jackson Churio, which you'll probably say next. So
yep, that's who I've got. I steered clear of the Brave, whatever is Yamamoto or whatever, which he could, but again, that guy's no rookie. I mean, he's played professional baseball for a long time. And Churio, I'm kind of going local guy. I mean, to be 20 years old again in the major leagues is it's pretty damn impressive.
So, I look at what you just said is when you're coming over from Japan, you either embrace it, or it's difficult. It's a big life change. There's huge expectations in this media. And when you're a rookie, you're just out there playing fun. You're playing for fun.
Yeah.
And I think that has something to do with it. Did somebody say Jared Jones from the Rockies?
Yeah, I don't think, and I saw Bill had put that. I think my only issue with that is I don't think the Rockies will end up being good enough to keep him around long enough. I don't think. I mean, I think he'll still. He's with the Pirates. Yeah, but again, even if you go with that analogy, I think you still have to have a team that's going to kind of be in it a little bit. You kind of have to force their hand a little bit. Not that the Brewers are going to necessarily have a great team this year. And again, mine's more of a homer pick as well. But I think Churio could end up being a really damn good baseball player.
I think long as Churio's hitting in the top two positions in the order, he's going to have every opportunity. If he starts to falter and he starts to drop down in 7, 8, and 9, then that's going to be a problem.
Right now, he's kind of been moving around a little bit. He has been hitting 9th. I think they're just trying to kind of take a little bit of pressure off of him rather than putting him in the leadoff. So I think the idea, and you do see this a little bit more in modern baseball now, having that 9th spot, still having a pretty good hitter, just because it kind of still allows for him to get on base and allows the top of the order to kind of move the guy around. So as much as baseball used to always have, just in order, 1 through 3 being your best hitters and 4 power, and then kind of mixing in the rest and all of that. I think the 9th place hitter has become a little bit more
table setter.
It's kind of having like 2 leadoff guys, so to speak. So I don't know. We'll see. My guess is he's going to probably end up being more of that 1-2 kind of spot kind of guy. But yeah, Paul Scant. Well, clearly Bill is all in on the Pirates. That's for sure. So
yeah, it sounds like he knows a lot about it.
Again, he's clearly been hitting the wheel of death a little bit. The Pirates are not winning 90 games.
Yeah, you can reach out to me. I'll take that bet with you privately if you want.
I don't think the Pirates are going to win 90 games. So,
I watching spring training, I did end up grabbing with my last round in fantasy Abner Uribe, the closer.
Oh yeah,
got his 3rd save tonight.
Yeah, yes, he did. Again, he's another guy, big velocity, little bit of movement. And he's a little bit of a wild card kind of guy. You don't know what you're going to get when you throw 103 and then you drop like this slurve or whatever he throws at like 90 or 87. Like that's ridiculous. That's nasty.
He pounds the zone. That's why I drafted him. When you see a young guy who's not afraid to throw a strike, I'm like, there's a better chance that he's going to hold on to the closer's role, being confident, because that's what that role needs. And, so far, it's been a good, week and a half. So. Yeah,
you've been he's going to be in that role. I mean, as long as he continues to do what he's doing, Devin Williams will be out for several months. So as long as he keeps closing games, then he'll have that role all locked up. So
I
All
mean,
right, let's do this.
he could
All
take
right,
the
go
job.
ahead. Sorry.
He could
No, go
take
ahead.
the job.
I could what?
They could take the job from Devin Williams just because, like, they're going to nurse him back and say we're going to hold you for the play. All of a sudden, he's not the closer.
Maybe. Yeah. There's a good possibility. I mean, having an injury like that, yeah, you don't just kind of heal. I mean, as you know, pitchers need time to then build back up arm strength and all that. So yeah, I mean, you could theoretically be into, I mean, Jesus, I don't know, July, August. I mean, before you even see him back on the mound, and who knows what you're going to get? You could have command issues. You never know. So we'll see. I'm hoping he does well in that position. But all right, let's do this. Let's just recap our. We'll see how close we'll replay this next year at this time and see how close we are. So your AL MVP again was
the Trout face killer.
All right, NL MVP again.
Acuna.
All right, so I'll go AL MVP Corey Seager, NL MVP Mookie Betts. AL and NL Cy Young. Who do you have?
The AL Burns and Strider in the NL.
Same here. That's what I went with as well. Even though Bieber has been in the back of my mind the whole entire time, but I'm gonna stick with Burns and Strider as well. AL NL Rookie of the Year. Fire away again.
Langford in the AL and Churio in the NL.
Man, Langford could be so good.
He looks like a freak, honestly, and I don't know. He's just a happy kid out there playing.
The thing is, like, I know, like, a lot of times these organizations will kind of pump the brakes on bringing these guys up too early so that the clock doesn't start, their MLB time doesn't start running, too early. I don't know what that.
That's what happened with Jackson Holiday, but like, I mean, I think he hit 365 with 20 RBIs and 5 or 6 home runs in spring, and he destroyed the baseball last year in all the minor league levels. So I just think they, sometimes you don't want to. You don't want to put your prize car and keep it in the garage. You want to bring it up.
I get it. I mean, they're in kind of a good spot with the talent they've got, the young talent they've got, to be able to kind of slow play, one of them. And I don't know, maybe that's what they're doing a little bit. So
maybe they just pop them, don't watch them.
Yes, that is true. That's true. So all right, my AL NL Rookie of the Year, AL Jackson Holiday, and NL Jackson Churio. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming on and talking a little baseball and some bourbon. And it was nice to kind of break down the starter, middle relief, kind of closer of bourbons. I mean, you had like, what was it, 65 bourbons? I think it took you to get through a game, but that's okay. That's all right. Just the way it goes.
I'm representing my Red Sox in true fashion with no pitching, so
that's okay. It's okay. That's the fun part about baseball, is that it is definitely not a sprint. It is a marathon. That is for sure. It's a long season. A lot of things can happen. Injuries, unexpected guys do real well. Guys you think are going to do well don't do very well. That's the magic of baseball. So
I'm just letting everyone know on screen, I'm rooting for the Orioles this year. Baltimore needs a lot of good to happen after the last few weeks. And it's, when we were down there for Summer Jam, it was awesome just to walk around the city. We were there for the week and everyone was wearing an Orioles jersey. And it reminded me of home, and it's nice to see them, back on the map.
So. Yeah. There was a struggling organization for a lot of years. And it'll be, you kind of wonder, without like Peter Angelos being kind of around, RIP, but you kind of wonder like how that whole thing is going to kind of shake out, with the organization now. They're definitely heading in the right direction. But I appreciate you spending an hour with me and kind of talking a little baseball and some bourbons. Two things I greatly enjoy. So, but anyway, guys, thanks everybody for joining tonight, and just kind of nice kind of loose little Tuesday night live stream to get kind of break up the monotony of the week and all of that. So we'll figure out what we got going for next Tuesday. But as always, I appreciate everybody joining, and look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday. We will see you guys then. Cheers, guys. Have a good night.